Hi, my name is Heather Moreno. This is my second teaching interaction, and I'm going to just start by talking about effective teaching models. The book talks about how in order for a teaching model to be effective, it needs to have a mix of different approaches. So it needs to be balanced between the instructor talking and just telling the students, and then involving their interaction, having them repeat back the knowledge to you, and then having them also apply concepts to their own life. Also, another thing that needs to happen in an effective teaching model is that the instruction needs to address real problems. So you need to engage your audience and be able, it needs to be relevant to what they need to learn and what they can use in their life. It also needs to build upon the audience's own existing knowledge. So asking them what they already know, and that can be done by having them relate things to their own life and then building a new concept on top of that. It also talks about how using demonstration is effective. Using demonstration such as applying concepts through personal stories, or demonstrating concepts as they relate to each other. And then also it does involve applying the new knowledge, so giving assignments, giving follow-up, and giving practice so that it can be integrated into real life. And then another important part of teaching an audience is being able to engage with the audience. And, in order to engage your audience, the audience needs to feel that the teacher or instructor is interested in them, and the instructor needs to show excitement about what is being taught. They need to be sensitive to their audience. So also being respectful and encouraging participation. They need to help build a relationship with their audience. They need to draw out the positive and the best in the different participants. And that goes back to, that correlates with what we read in Teaching the Gospel, that you need to focus on the people, not just the lessons. And you also need to seek to understand who you're teaching. If you seek to understand your audience or your target audience, and you understand, they will relate to you better. And I've found that in my own life as I'm teaching, mainly most of my experiences with teaching Relief Society and those types of things, is when you ask questions and you ask them to share their experiences in a lesson, it does tend to be more engaging. And then teaching skills and tools. There's a lot of different teaching skills and tools you can incorporate into your teaching, and some of those include leading group discussions. The group discussions allow the learners to be able to share their own experiences and build upon knowledge of those experiences that everyone else shares. Answering questions, so making sure you're available and having a question and answer session so that you address certain topics right when they come up. Also, another very effective way is personal narratives. So sharing your own personal experiences with your audience does make you more relatable to them. You also have them repeat the skills, so that can be like practicing in a non-stressful situation, receiving reinforcement or corrective feedback, and role-playing is also very effective. Other things that you can use to help engage your audience is technology, using PowerPoint slides or internet clips. Those types of things help make your presentation more engaging. Another very important thing to be aware of when you're working with a family education setting is that you're going to have diverse audiences. So you need to be sensitive to cultural differences, different learning styles, different ethnicities and values, and then just also people have different communication styles, and you may be working with different family structures. So it is important when you are working with your audience that you know your audience so that you can relate to them and you can be aware of where you might need to be sensitive to differences. And also knowing your audience, first you need to know yourself. So you need to know where your strengths and limits are. You need to continually evaluate your program and make sure that it does meet different diversity needs and that it is sensitive to differences. The chapter that I chose to base my optional chapter was marriage and relationship education, because my project is going to be on online learning for communication and conflict management. So I felt that that really did apply. Marriage and relationship education began in about the 1930s with premarital counseling. It was supported by usually church groups, and it does have 3 emphases, usually making a sound relationship model, and the best example of that is the Gottman work with the Sound Marital House. And then another emphasis that people usually focus on is the virtues of marriage, and then also how to transform marriages and prevent problems or repair them. Usually programs need to be based on evidence-based programs or like research-based, couple communication programs, relationship enhancement, or what they call couple care, which means it's, enhancing your relationship, preventing problems or solving problems. When you are designing your own program, you need to analyze what program you're going to address. You need to then design the program, pilot the program, and going back to knowing your audience, know your target audience. You need to look at the different settings, what type of content, and how often, and how you will present that. So those are all very important factors in making sure your education is effective. I look forward to implementing these things in my presentation, and thank you for listening.